I wanted to talk about Cornell West and his debate on Fox News about Israel-Palestine. It got heated. He was talking to Dershowitz, who is a big fan of Israel, and they got angry. But before we talk about that, I wanted to talk about Cornell West's messy breakup with the Green Party after also having a messy breakup with the People's Party and is now running as an independent. And there's just so much chaos in his campaign. I just don't know how seriously he's taking this presidential run. And I wanted to read you a quote from this as to why he ended up breaking with the Green Party. It was so strange reading it, knowing he's running for president. Where is it? Here it is. The moment of transition became clear. Given the internal dynamics of the Green Party, West said, the procedure and the requirements for debate, you have to go to various Green Party events in a variety of states. I said, oh my God, this is a lot of energy, time, and effort. Number one, when he was making this transition from the People's Party to the Green Party, he was leaving the People's Party thinking, man, that was a mess. Those guys had no ballot access, no clue what they're doing, and they're a bunch of jokes. It's a joke podcaster party. Oh my gosh, I'm moving on to this Green Party. You would think if he's leaving one party because he didn't realize how, unprepared it was for a presidential race or unsuited for his campaign, he would do a little bit of research before entering a new party before ending up doing the exact same thing he did with the People's Party. Also, just want to say, running for the presidency is going to take a lot of energy, time, and effort. But moving on, I wanted to watch Cornel West's debate with Dershowitz on Fox News over the recent Israel-Hamas war. This got very, very heated. And, I've been giving Cornel West a lot of critiques over his terrible commentary over the Russian invasion of Ukraine, on how he's weak on imperialism, how he's weak on colonialism when it's a country outside of the United States, and how he's kind of part of the flower child left that thinks you can just hug everybody to find a solution to everything. But putting that aside, this is somewhere where I'm hoping he does quite well. And from a few moments I saw, he actually did do quite well. Now, I didn't watch the entirety of it. I only watched a minute of it. And I don't want to spoil the rest of it for me. So I'm going to watch this for mostly the first time with you guys right now.
At the evening time, first, left-wing bigotry, anti-Semitism running rampant on university campuses around the world, London, Australia. What's happening? Chanting in Australia, about gas chambers and, for Jewish people. What is happening on our college campuses? What is happening among the Democratic Party? Some Harvard students now are scrambling to...
First off, trying to connect the march in Australia, where there was a march in reaction to the invasion or what we're going to assume is going to become the invasion of the Gaza Strip by Israel in the bombing campaign, and they started marching, chanting "Gas the Jews." And it was horrible, awful, it's terrible, and every single one of those people are deplorable, and I wouldn't touch any of them with a 10-foot stick because I wouldn't want to get the syphilis that has infected their minds, okay? Putting that aside, what does that have to do with the Democratic Party? That's a march in Australia. Now, I don't know if I need to explain this to Mr. Hannity, but Australia isn't a U.S. state. There's no Democrats in Australia. They've got the Labour Party over there. It's a totally different thing. What is this scummy connection you're trying to make? The vast majority of the Democratic Party voted in favor of the Stand with Israel bill. There was only 13 legislators in the entirety of the Congress that voted against it. And if you ask them why, the reason they did is because they're terrified of the civilian death toll that an Israeli invasion of the Gaza Strip could cause. Not because they agree with those protesters in Australia. Trying to make that connection is very scummy, but it's part and parcel for Fox News.
To finally rescind their support of their vile letter, actually blaming the victim, Israel, for the brutal Hamas terror attacks. Not everyone disagrees with them. 2024 presidential candidate, former Harvard professor Cornell West said the students were largely right, but they lack nuance. He joins us now with reaction, along with attorney, also Harvard professor Alan Dershowitz is with us. Thank you both for being with us. You always call me Brother Sean. I call you Brother Cornell. I'm not that happy with you tonight.
I understand. We could talk about why we...
Because we have 31 groups from Harvard. Harvard's supposed to be, I always thought, the top of the top. To get into Harvard, what an accomplishment, what an achievement, what academic excellence you must show, a cut above everyone else. And 31 student groups blaming Israel, blaming the victim. And your answer to this is they are largely right? Hamas that murdered children? Hamas that murdered innocent people?
That's what I said, though, brother.
Okay.
That's what I said.
They are largely right, but lacking nuance.
No, I didn't say lack nuance. That's the title of the piece.
Okay.
My actual words were, I'll just be very honest.
I got it here in front of me.
The words too, brother. The words were that Israel's policies of war crimes and collective punishment against Palestinians.
I'll read it to you. Israel and the United States are primarily responsible.
Wait, okay. Did we want him to say his position, or are we just going to read the article? Don't talk. Either let him say it or just read the article. Say we're going to read what you said in the thing, or we're going to listen to it. Don't, whatever.
Ability for killing innocent.
I just really don't like Fox News formats.
People, anybody who kills innocent people are engaging in barbaric acts.
You said
no matter
Israel,
who they are,
hang on,
what color, what nation, and so forth.
Israel and the United States are primarily
And the United States has
responsible.
supported and enabled.
You explain to this audience. I want you to explain. How is Israel and the United States responsible for beheading 40 children? How?
I'm talking about the context. 545 Palestinian children died in August 2004. Not one American said a word. I believe a Palestinian baby has the same value as an Israeli baby. So when you have that kind of vicious hatred and revenge, you get response of hatred and revenge. They are all wrong. They're all war crimes. They're all to be condemned. But you cannot simply look at this particular moment without the larger backdrop of an ugly occupation.
This guy right here, his name's Eugene. He was like mocking the rave guys, like the 260 rave goers that got slaughtered by Hamas. He's a real rat bastard. He's also a big opponent of aid to Ukraine. So when Ukraine is dealing with colonialism and imperialism and being invaded by a hardcore nationalist neighbor who is trying to move in settlers to take Ukrainian land, which is happening right now in cities like Mariupol, that's fine. We should do nothing about that. But when terrorists take over raves and murder 260 people, oh, that's blessed resistance. What a joke. But by the way, Cornell West is doing pretty decent so far. But he shouldn't have associated with the Harvard people at all.
Morally corrupt,
the groups that were releasing statements in the immediate aftermath of the attacks, a lot of them were just bungling it like 5 ways to Sunday. Like BLM Chicago releasing the meme of the paragliders, of saying Free Palestine had a person wearing a paraglider as they paraglided in. That just is an endorsement of terrorism. That's what that is. And it's an endorsement of the murder of the largest terror attack, the largest murder, the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust. Like there's no reason to associate with that whatsoever. And a lot of these groups in Harvard and the statements they put out seem to basically completely ignore that suffering or the value of that suffering. If Cornel West wants to make this point, there's no reason for him to associate himself when trying to make a decently good point, which he's trying to make, with people who are really bad at making that point and also seem to not really care that much, if at all, about what happened in southern Israel.
And the
Ontario Rockhound, thanks for the primer. Appreciate it.
ugly attacks chronically against Palestinians.
Those are not your words. Largely right. Israel and the United States are primarily responsible for this attack. Professor Dershowitz.
Well, I complained when Palestinian children were killed, but I explained why they were killed. Here is one of the...
Did he say that the United States and Israel are largely responsible for this attack? Well, that's pretty rough, man. You can make like a nuanced take of Israel created the conditions that led to the the hotbed of extremism that is the Gaza Strip through allowing the organization that became Hamas to function, and the accusations of financing, and the Israelis government continued want to perpetuate the conflict in perpetuity. They continue the occupation. You can make that nuanced take. But when it's talking specifically about the attack, the primary culprit will always be the terrorists. Will always be the terrorists.
The leaders of Hamas. For the Palestinian people, death has become an industry. The elderly excel at this, and so do the children. This is why we have formed human shields of the women and the children. Hamas is the ones responsible for the killing of Palestinian children. Also,
Israel is, because they bombed them. The thing is, the bombing of the convoy, the bombing of the 11 UN staff that got killed, or the MLA medics, or the journalists, or any of the groups I could talk about, any of the 6,000 to 8,000 to 9,000 bombs that Israel's dropped on the Gaza Strip. Is Alan Dershowitz really saying that he can account for every single one of those bombs? As Naftali Bennett goes on TV, and when he's asked, this is the ex-prime minister of Israel, someone who's trying to champion Israel around the world and their response to this around the world, when asked, what will Israel do to preserve civilian lives, he gave no answer. And when he was asked again, he said, how dare you ask me about preserving Palestinian lives? You guys bombed Dresden, and now today, you're angry, we're the dirty ones? Oh, you're so clean? Just like openly, like, yeah, we'll talk. Yeah. A lot of civilians will die. We won't really work that hard to maintain a small amount of collateral damage, which is the responsibility of any nation state invading another nation state, even if Israel is stopping the creation of a Palestinian nation state through their illegal settlements. They still have that responsibility.
Hamas has a term. It's called the CNN strategy. And the CNN strategy is induce Israel into killing Palestinian children by using them as human shields. Then parade the bodies out on CNN, and you'll see what happens. People like Cornell West will engage in crocodile tears, blame it on Israel.
Oh, God, Jesus. Crocodile tears. Just, I don't think Alan Dershowitz a single thought is even going towards the Palestinians. Crocodile tears for the dead Palestinians. Oof.
Israel, when the entire blame is on the Palestinians, Hamas, for using their children as human shields, and then using their children as shields to permit the killing of Israelis.
Don't accuse me.
What is Hamas's charter?
I have the same outrage when Palestinian babies are killed, when Jewish babies or Israeli babies. I want you to have the same indignation when Palestinians are killed.
Not when they're killed. Not when they're killed by Palestinians. When you can't make a moral comparison. When Nazi kids were killed in the bombings of Dresden, I didn't have the same comparison when Jewish kids were put in gas chambers and crematoriums. You're a professor of theology. Don't you understand the moral difference between deliberately murdering a kid and having collateral damage because there are human shields? You're running for president of the United States. What would you do? Let me ask the question.
Okay.
What would you do if terrorists were firing at American children in America, and the terror?
You can't just like throw. This is why I don't like Fox News. This is the same reason I don't like Piers Morgan. There's this. They'll take the punching bag, and this is always how these networks work. They'll take the punching bag, in this example, Cornel West, they'll put him in the chair, and 80% of it is them hammering. When he starts to talk, they'll cut him off, then they'll cut to the other guest, and the guest will hammer. And Cornel West, being a generally polite person, doesn't want to have to talk or yell over other people. And so he seems he's residing himself right now. He's residing himself. If you're going to go on these shows, you got to make sure that you are willing to fight for airtime.
Terrorists were hiding behind Palestinian children. Would you allow the killing of Americans to continue, or would you go and get the terrorists, even if it meant possibly collateral damage on Palestinians? What would you do?
I'll tell you exactly what I would do. First, truth and morality tend to be 2 casualties in any context of war. I would want to tell the American people the truth. I would tell them what the context is, how we found ourselves in this situation. I would not jump for a military invasion and a genocidal attack on a
genocidal attack
on Gaza.
No,
it's
not a genocidal
where are they supposed to go?
When you're
where are they
killing
supposed to go? Bro,
terrorists.
this is like Warsaw, 1943. Where do they go?
Where do they go?
Yes.
Let me tell you where they go. They go to the UN. UN is keeping
from Gaza to
by the way, what a ridiculous answer from Alan Dershowitz. Where do the people of Gaza go since the Israelis won't let them in? They've given them 24 hours to evacuate. It's like 5 hours now. And the Egyptians are telling them to stay in their homes, don't come to Egypt. And multiple convoys are being bombed. And they can't leave by the water, they can't leave by the ocean because Israel's enforcing a blockade. Also, they're no longer allowing food, water, and fuel into the strip. Where are they supposed to go? The UN? What answer is that? They're supposed to go to what? UN headquarters? Where are they supposed to go? What does that mean? Not to mention, guess how many UN staff have died? 11. So apparently UN locations in the Gaza Strip aren't safe as well.
Bankrupt man.
It should be mentioned, though, it is true that Hamas has used UN schools to store weapons. Even though, of course, a lot of the bombing attacks, Israel's done very little to maintain a small amount of civilian casualties to no civilian casualties. There seems to be zero consideration for the Palestinian people. It is true that Hamas does store weapons in locations like schools and hospitals. That is absolutely true. Like, there's reports on this. It's not like it's just true. Nixon, thank you so much for the primer. I appreciate it. I voted for you.
They go to no. The UN has places.
Source? Okay, 1 second. I'll bring up the source. Hamas stores weapons. UN school. UN admits Palestinians fired rockets from school. Extract from a UN report on rockets stored in and fired from UNRWA facilities. Presence of weaponry at the Gaza Beach Elementary Coalitional B School, July 16th, 2014. You'll read it yourself if you want, but yes, they do engage in this behavior. Absolutely.
In Gaza. They go to the Rafah crossing.
UN people have been killed in the last few days.
They go to Egypt. They go.
Egypt had to
wait a minute.
get out.
Let me make another thing clear. Gaza City is very dense, but Gaza itself, the Gaza Strip, there's lots of room. The Israelis have said, get out of Gaza City. Go to Rafah. Go to Khan Yunis.
Dylan, the convoys have not been bombed. Hamas is actively hindering Gazans from fleeing. Okay, 1 second. I guess I didn't see those videos. 1 second. Update. Palestinian Health Ministry report the 3 convoys carrying evacuees. Now this is from the Palestinian Health Ministry, not the most unbiased source. Evacuees towards southern Gaza were hit by Israeli airstrikes today, killing at least 70 people. So would the idea be, and we can't really show all this, right? I don't even know how much I can show of this. But would the accusation be that Hamas killed these people and placed the bodies? That this is all staged? God, I wish I could play this on stream, but there's bodies in it, so I can't. Look, we can wait until we got more reporting on this. Well, you know what? I'll look it up off stream. I'll do that off stream.
Go to other places. And you know what Hamas is saying?
Water, no food, no electricity.
You know what Hamas is?
1 second. Israel-Hamas war. 70 killed after convoys evacuees in Gaza hit by Israeli airstrikes. This is from NBC News, also known as Hamas TV. Sorry, I'm being facetious. Let's continue.
Hamas is saying, don't go.
Oh, I'm not here to defend Hamas.
Well, you are.
No, I'm not defending Hamas.
Wait a minute.
Don't you ever lie on me like that, brother. I'm defending the suffering of Palestinians.
I want to hear
Hamas itself committing war crimes.
I want to hear you say
anybody who commits war crimes are barbaric. I'm saying that explicitly, but I want you to say if the Israeli Defense Forces are killing children, are they?
Oh my God, I love this comment from chat. Is this what U.S. news is like? What the fuck? Now you're starting to understand where American problems come from. Not the only source, but this is a big one.
Barbaric too?
No.
Are they ever barbaric?
No. If they target children.
Yes. Have they ever targeted children?
Absolutely. Never in the history
78 years.
have they ever targeted a child.
Be clear, this isn't like all news networks. Fox News is very notorious for this type of stuff. Very, very notorious. There are other news networks like you can get like NPR radio or whatever if you want like a good, cleaner, like just kind of like Here is the information, read in a soft-spoken voice. NBC is usually better than this. I mean, the Clinton News Network, but CNN is usually better than this. Fox News is a particularly bad culprit, but they're also not the only ones to practice this type of segment and back and forth. Like, there's nothing substantive being learned in this debate. It's just, this will get us viewership.
Very dense.
Absolutely.
But Gaza itself, the Gaza Strip, there's lots of room. The Israelis have said, get out of Gaza City, go to Rafah, go to Khan Yunis, go to other places. And you know what Hamas is saying?
Water, no
Wait
food,
a minute.
no electricity.
You know what Hamas is saying?
Okay, one second. Let me respond to this thing from site chat. And you're in site chat, so I have to respect it to some degree, okay? You people need to grow some gray matter. If you believe the IF targets civilians moving south and telling them to go there, Hamas on the other side has told Gazans to stay put so they get killed. Okay. So, was NBC just lying? I don't know what motivation NBC would have to lie, considering American press is generally more favorable towards Israel, generally more sympathetic towards Israel. But if is your logic only, it just doesn't make sense that Israel would commit a war crime when all of their nation is in a fervor of anger over the deadliest days for Jews since the Holocaust. You ever heard the term violence begets violence? And the idea that it's impossible and it's ridiculous to even think Israel would ever bomb a civilian, that's silly. Radical AC, thanks for the prime. Look, maybe the report will end up being untrue and the Hamas F-16s did it. We'll find that out, but I don't know. Look at the scene, Dylan. The buildings around that convoy don't look like there was any kind of bomb involved. Look, if you look, it looks like the sarin gas in the Syrian town. Look, it looks like it was kind of moved a little. Like how do we really know the rebels didn't do this? Like, if we move the sarin gas container, and like if you read the dissenter article here, then you can clearly see that Assad is a innocent little baby who never did no wrong. But I'm just saying that you're dismissing this too readily.
Go to other places. And you know what Hamas is saying?
With no water, no food, no electricity.
You know what Hamas is saying? Hamas is saying, don't go.
Oh, I'm not here to defend Hamas.
Well, you are here.
I'm not defending Hamas.
Wait a minute.
Don't you ever lie on me like that, brother. I'm defending the suffering of Palestinians.
I want to hear
and Hamas itself committing war crimes.
I want to hear you say...
Anybody who commits war crimes are barbaric. I'm saying that explicitly, but I want you to say if the Israeli defense...
Actually, wait, what am I doing? I've seen bombings before. I've been in areas where it has been bombed for. I can just look at the footage again off screen and see if what you're saying has any credibility myself. I'm forgetting that I've been to a war zone every once. I forget I'm in a war zone. I forget that every once in a while. One second. I'll let this keep playing. I'll look at it off screen.
Forces are killing children.
No.
Are they barbaric too?
No.
Are they ever barbaric?
No. If they target children.
Yes. Have they ever targeted children?
They
absolutely
have never in the history
78 years.
have they ever targeted a child
you got to
deliberately.
Get off the crack pipe, man, please.
No, they have never targeted a child.
They killed one innocent person?
Not purposely.
Since 1940.
This is like a deliberate lie. In 1948, the violence from the Israeli military was pretty horrific. The violence in 1948 was generally horrific, right? And the Israelis won, and when you're the winning side, that usually means you have more ability to be horrific. But it was very horrific. The attempts to poison Palestinian wells, that was a deliberate target on civilians. The Palestinians being forced from their homes was a deliberate target on Palestinian civilians. The Palestinian border protests, where Palestinians were getting sniped on the border, and the Israelis were filming it like, hee, ha, this is so fun. And that got leaked by IDF soldiers who thought that was repugnant. Because of course it's repugnant. The idea that Israel has never in a million years ever in the history of a modern nation has never deliberately targeted civilians. Just such a bogus line. This is cult behavior when you say stuff like this. My country that I like would never, ever, 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 ever deliberately target a civilian in a million years in its 100-year history full of some of the most hate-filled religious violence ever. It's on its face is a ridiculous claim.
No, No, not
Are they that
purposely.
pure? Are they that
You don't have to be
pristine?
very
Come
pure
on, brother.
not to kill a
Please.
child. Not to kill a child.
Let me
They killed 550
Let me
and
show
50
Because
something.
they're being used as human shields.
Let me show something
Well,
we
we
showed
got
on this
deep
program last night.
disagreements on this.
What I'm about to show this audience, these are cartoons that are air in Gaza for young children that are taught to hate the Jewish people. You know, just watch this for a second, and I'll have you both comment. Watch that.
لأنه اليهود أطفالهم بعلموهم على الشراسة.
Oh, well, number one, this isn't a cartoon. This, I don't know if this Sean Hannity know what a cartoon is. Well, actually, I think the background's kind of cartoony. Oh, maybe it's like the Palestinian Hamas version of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The Jews teach their children to slaughter. Oh boy, that's not a nice thing to say. Oh, is this my favorite Palestinian? Oh my gosh, do you guys know about like Hamas Mickey Mouse? Oh, we might actually have to divert to watch that. That stuff's it's horrible, but it's very funny.
والطخ.
تقذف بيدها الصغيرة وجوه الدمار الحقيرة رآها العدو كره طفولتها كره بطولتها صوب البندقية وأطلق الرصاصة.
By the way, even if they're like they're just propaganda, this has happened. This isn't like they shouldn't. I don't think they should be showing this to children, but this has happened on the border.
Professor West,
Yes.
if you brainwash and indoctrinate young children, that you're teaching them to hate from that young age. Not good.
No.
Here's the problem.
Any kind of inculcation of hatred is immoral and wrong.
Here's
Like, can we do Hamas Mickey Mouse for like a moment, since we're at the moment? Hamas Mickey Mouse. Quickly. Is this it? No, where is it? Somebody must know. Yeah, Farfour. That was his name. Farfour. Farfour. Is this it? Yeah.
Full scenery. Instead of songs and stories, the show serves up political ideology disguised as cuddly animals. The latest character to join the program is Asud the rabbit, and he comes with a backstory. The young viewers are told that Asud entered Gaza from Egypt after Hamas knocked down the border wall in January. The wooden key he wears round his neck, he says, is the key of return to reclaim Jerusalem from the Zionists.
We educate our children about loyalty, love,
I like that he does the interview in the head.
understanding, and hard work, nothing more. We also teach them that we have lands stolen by the criminal Zionists.
The rabbit replaces Nahul the bee, who gets his fun from tormenting cats and from throwing stones at a caged lion. The children get to watch Nahul's antics for several minutes before the show delivers the moral of the story. Don't try this at home. But Nahul didn't leave the show because of his naughty behavior. The young viewers are told that the cuddly bee died because the Israeli siege on Gaza prevented him from reaching a hospital.
Jesus Christ. Austria 7, thank you for the prime. You know, the equivalent of this would be like after 9/11, George Bush doesn't announce to the nation, we will hunt down these terrorists. We will go to the ends of the earth to make sure that Americans are safe and that the war on terror will be brought to fruition. We've lost many casualties yesterday. Linda Chach, who died as the towers crumbled. Bill Brissner, who as a firefighter ran into the towers to save lives, and after saving 17 people, he died. And SpongeBob, who was in the financial district talking to businessmen about investments in an ice cream company. We lost many great American heroes on this day. That's the equivalent of what just happened.
The overtly political message and the use of violence has made the show controversial. But the program makers are unapologetic about how they approach their younger audience.
We want to have children involved with the channel, and we care about their reaction to our programs. So we have live shows to make sure that the message is relayed the way we intended.
Perhaps the most famous scene from the children's show, a Mickey Mouse look-alike being beaten to death by an Israeli. It could be a case of television imitating life.
Wait. I think so. I think I was sent the Far 4 clip. Here it is. Far 4 martyred by Israel.
بديك الأمانة قبل ما أموت بتمنى تحافظ عليها الأمانة هذه يا فرفور وإيش الأمانة هذه يا جدي اللي لازم أحافظ عليها إن إحنا الأرض أيام 48 هذه الأرض يا سيدي أنا ورثتها من آبائي وأجدادي بتمنى تحافظ عليها هذه الأرض أرض جميلة كلها مزروعة بالورد بالشجر الزيتون والنخل بتمنى تحافظ عليها يا فرفور.
Because the topic is being, number one, this is Hamas propaganda, right? So I feel perfectly fine laughing at Hamas propaganda. Definitely when one of the characters is like a Mickey Mouse ripoff. But like they're talking about like serious topics here, like we were displaced and we must fight back. Like, but why not just? I guess the mouse is the only way they can drag in the kids in their mind. Like it couldn't just be like Bob the Hamas guy. It had I don't think his name would be Bob, but it had to be a Mickey Mouse. It had to be a Mickey Mouse ripoff.
هذه الأرض اسمها تل الربيع أما لقيت يا خسارة اليهود سموها تل أبيب بعد ما احتلوها واخذوها جدي هذه الأمانة بتمنى تحافظ عليها يا فرفور وهذا المفتاح بيكون معك لما ترجع للبلاد بتفتح فيه يا فرفور أنا يا فرفور هذا يا جدي المفتاح هذا المفتاح هذه كمان وراق تثبت كمان الأرض إنا يا فرفور هذه أمانة معك يا فرفور اوعى تفرط بالأرض يا فرفور.
I gotta say, if they're trusting their official documents to Far 4, that might be, you know, that might be upending their legal argument. I gotta say, not the most responsible keeper for your home documents.
اوعى تفرط بالأرض يا فرفور. يا جدي ما تخافش. أنا يا فرفور تعبان كتير. لا يا جدي. حاسس حالي بدي أموت. لا يا جدي. حاسس حالي إني قريب من أرض الربيع. لا يا جدي. بتمنى يا جدي إنك تحافظ عليها. حاضر يا جدي. أنا يا جدي. أنا يا جدي. لا يا جدي. أنا يا جدي.
Up to Hamas now. I thought it was about to turn like combat footage, and they're gonna have like Hamas mouse raid the border. Far 4 is interrogated.
اقعد حبيبي فرفور اقعد ارتاح اقعد حبيبي فرفور
Oh, you caved quickly, Far 4. Caved quickly.
معنى فرفور انه سيدك اعطاك مفاتيح الارض والوراق. مين قال لك هذا الكلام؟ انت ما إلك مين قال فرفور، لكن المطلوب فرفور. طيب وايش المطلوب هلقت مني؟ المطلوب فرفور انه تعطينا اوراق الارض. اوراق الارض اللي جدي اعطاني اياهم امانه عشان احافظ عليهم وعشان احرر فيهم.
You don't need to watch the whole episode. I am completely captured by Far 4's arc. Okay, I want to see how his arc ends. But maybe by the end of it, he becomes a peace activist.
فرفور بدنا نشتري الأرض شري يا فرفور بدنا نديك مسار كتير بدك تاخد مسار كتير فرفور وناخد الأوراق فرفور وراق ولا حاجة فرفور لا مش إحنا اللي بنبيع أراضينا لناس إرهابيين فرفور بدك تجيب الأوراق يعني بدك تجيب الأوراق مش سايب الأوراق ومش سايب الأوراق فرفور مش سايب لك الأوراق بدك تجيب الأوراق فرفور بدك تجيب الأوراق فرفور بدك تجيبه يعني بدك تجيبه فرفور مش سايبه لناس مجرمين لناس أندال لناس إرهابية إحنا أندال إحنا إرهابية فرفور خد 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 جيب له اوراق لك فرفور.
نعم أحبابنا الأطفال لقد فقدنا أعز صديق
I knew how
لنا
this was gonna end, but it's still shocking.
فرفور. لقد استشهد فرفور وهو يدافع عن أرضه، يدافع عن أرض آبائه وأجداده. استشهد على أيدي المجرمين القتلة، قتلت الأطفال الأبرياء، وقتلت إيمان حجه، قتلت محمد الدرة وغيرهم.
Yo, man, I gotta be honest. This is very interesting and everything. I'm happy I watched like The Fairly Odd Parents and like Courage the Cowardly Dog. Okay, man, this is not my Danny Phantom. Like I'll stick with that. Before the Mouse just got gifted a tier 1 sub in Gutter Chat. Okay, back to this debate. I don't even remember what they were debating. Oh yeah, they were doing the cartoons. That's why we watched this.
Professor West,
Yes.
if you brainwash and indoctrinate young children, that you're teaching them to hate from that young age. Not good.
No.
Here's the problem.
Any kind of inculcation of hatred is immoral and wrong.
Here's the problem I have with your
brothers and others. If there's any hatred of anybody, including Palestinians,
Would you
wrong
condemn
too.
Black Lives Matter Chicago for justifying the Hamas murder by using these little airplane things and coming down on the...
It wasn't airplanes, it was gliders, but I understand his point, but again, BLM Chicago had like people flying in the gliders, which was a tactic Hamas used to get into southern Israel and kill all those people. They posted it on BLM Chicago's like Facebook page and on their Twitter account, and then they doubled down on it when it really just looked like they were endorsing just like murdering Jews. That's what it looked like.
Music event.
But I want to hear. I would
paragliders, yeah.
Certainly condemn it.
You condemn Black Lives Matter.
I would condemn anybody.
Okay.
It's not a matter of
I'm glad to hear you.
This is morality and spirituality.
Okay, so you condemn Black Lives Matter.
Part of our challenge, though, and this is important just as a leader, you see, he asked me what I would do. I would say we've got to end occupation. We got to make sure that Palestinians...
This has nothing to do with it. The politics of Israel-Palestine has nothing to do with the war between Israel and Hamas. Nothing at all. It has zero to do with it. There's no belief at all that occupation could contribute to extremism. I mean, that's what happened in Algeria. That's what happened in Angola. That's what happened in Zimbabwe. That's what happened anywhere where you have long-standing occupation. You will have people who want to end that occupation. And it definitely, if you have like a 44% unemployment rate, a blockade, a water supply controlled. But look, I don't want to separate the politics, the obvious politics of the Israel-Palestine conflict from this war, because they are entwined intrinsically. They're intrinsically entwined. And pretending that they're not entwined and that one has nothing to do with the other is silly.
Have the same dignity, the same rights as Israelis.
Let me ask you a question.
That's at the center. That's at the core.
Dylan, he said it and then he crossed his arms. That is a good point.
You know I support that. You know I support the two-state solution. But Hamas doesn't support the two-state solution. Hamas opposes
Professor West, I want to ask this question. Would Gaza be facing annihilation if Hamas did not attack and kill all these innocent Israelis?
Of course not.
Gaza has been facing
You're not answering.
chronic
Would they be facing an imminent annihilation
since 2000.
Would they be facing imminent annihilation?
2000 and what?
since 2006 and 7, and Gaza was taken over by Hamas. I'm not pro-Hamas. I'm pro-democracy, but I'm concerned about the suffering of Palestinians.
Israel didn't fire a single rocket until Hamas fired 5,000 rockets.
Israel controls the land, the air,
only after Hamas
the
took
food
over.
Going in, the trade coming in, and so forth. But it was already under occupation since 1967.
No. The occupation ended in 2005. Learn your history. Sharon left. Every American, every Israeli settler, every Israeli soldier left. In 2006, it was like Singapore. It could have been the nicest place in the Mediterranean. Then Hamas
if you enforce a blockade, it's not going to become the nicest place in the Mediterranean. And if you're still engaging in occupation elsewhere that is also still their land, then you're not going to create the nicest place in the Mediterranean. When you look at the Gaza Strip, it is a territory, it doesn't have any like bountiful like resources. It's a very urban, condensed city of like 2.2 million people. It has some production, like some industrial capacity, but everything that it needs to function as an economy, it has to import everything. Like 90% of the stuff they put into the production lines that they do have, the economy that they do have, they have to import from overseas. And Israel has a control of what can and cannot enter the Gaza Strip. Now, they're not the only reason that the Gaza Strip has all the problems that it has. Hamas is a terribly corrupt organization. Hamas steals aid. Hamas crushes any civil dissent. Hamas has not held an election since 2006. There's a lot of other factors involved. But let's not pretend that the Israelis created all of the necessary factors to create a prospering state in Gaza.
Through them.
New York would be under occupation if another country owned its air, its space,
it didn't
its food
own
going
it
in, its
between
trade.
2006 and 2008.
Let's
only
be honest.
after Hamas took over.
Let me end with this.
Yeah.
Here's a sad.
And I would really like to see Cornell West talk about Hamas's origins, but I don't know. That might be too much for Fox.
Fact. This debate could not be held on Harvard's campus today.
That's
correct?
Right. That's right. I would not be allowed to.
What does that mean? It couldn't be held on Harvard campus? Absolutely could be held on Harvard campus.
I am offering to go up to Harvard. I am offering to go up to Harvard and
let's do it.
And I will moderate it.
We've debated before on many
occasions. I don't think Harvard will let Professor Dershowitz or Professor Brother Hannity on campus.
Well, you could go with me.
I would never want Hannity to moderate a debate of mine because I don't believe he'd have the ability to moderate. I don't think he knows how to moderate debates. This shows that he doesn't know how to moderate debates from how this went.
We'll all go and have a public debate.
With me.
And then
I'll be there.
But the truth is going to be difficult.
Would you all like to see that in this audience?
Yeah, absolutely.
I will bring our audience with us.
Why are they clapping? They learned nothing. They learned absolutely this was garbage. Could have just watched more Far 4.